Mike Tomlin had his end of the year press conference today. He didn't really say much. There wasn't a lot of answers to the questions that were asked. I mean, I don't expect him to air out personal business conversations that he's had with Art Rooney about personnel decisions and issues behind the scenes that we don't know about. I respect that. I respect that the Pittsburgh Steelers do everything in-house and keep things hush-hush. You know, it's very Bill Belichick-like, except for it's done in a nicer way. But the two things that stood out to me today about Mike Tomlin's press conference was the first thing, he said, it pains him to say that the Baltimore Ravens were the better team. And were they the better team? See, I don't buy that they were the better team. I'm buying that they were the better coached team. They brought back the defensive coordinator. They moved guys around. They made adjustments to beat the Steelers, where the Steelers didn't make any adjustments. So, yes, in technical terms, they were the better team that day. But I don't know if I necessarily buy that the Baltimore Ravens are better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if the Steelers were to have better coaching with their offensive line, with their defensive strategy, we might have had a different outcome. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Steelers fan. They made the necessary adjustments to demolish the Pittsburgh Steelers after losing to them on numerous occasions. I don't believe that they just miraculously got so much better than the Steelers. I believe that the Steelers didn't make the adjustments that they needed to make in order to beat the Ravens. And the biggest adjustment started in training camp. The biggest adjustment was coming into this year with Russell Wilson as your quarterback, thinking that a 36-year-old man, as the season wore on, was going to go toe-to-toe with Lamar Jackson to score more points than him. And even if they beat the Ravens, you think they're going to beat the Bills, Josh Allen? You think they're going to beat the Chiefs? Zero upside for big play ability. Derrick Henry averaged 7.9 yards a carry. Do you understand what that is? Do you understand what 7.9 yards a carry is? Do you understand when Lamar Jackson has 15 carries for 81 yards and he's just running down the field, huge lanes? The Pittsburgh Steelers defense all of a sudden just stopped knowing how to play football. All their ability just fell off a cliff. That's not what happened. I'm not buying it that the Ravens are just a better team. I'm not buying it. The second thing that Tomlin said that I thought was interesting, he said a lot of things, but these two things stuck out in my mind the most. That Justin Fields, he didn't really say this, but he kind of indicated it, that Justin Fields was going to be the number one quarterback going into next year. Now, I thought that Justin Fields should have been the starting quarterback this year between him and Russ. If you go into 2025, if Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers go into 2025 with Justin Fields as the starter, and then the backup is some no-name that's absolutely horrible, here we go again. It'll be the same thing over in 2024. What I mean is we're not prepared beforehand for something to go wrong. So, this is my suggestion. You open the bank for Sam Darnold. You sign Justin Fields to a decent deal. You can afford it. Got plenty of cap space. Plenty of guys are leaving the Pittsburgh Steelers. Plenty. And there's some that need to be cut. You sign Justin Fields. You bring in Sam Darnold. You let them compete for the job in camp. Two contrasting styles. Sam Darnold, pocket passer, statue, just moves up, down, throws the ball 70 yards downfield, no problem. Then we have Justin Fields, a Big Ben, big body, obviously can run better than Ben. He can. When you see Justin Fields in person take off with that football, it's amazing. He's just lacking experience with the same offensive coordinator and reading defenses. He holds onto the ball too long. He doesn't read the defenses well. Could it be fixed? I think so. Could he have made strides this year if he was the starting quarterback from day one all the way until the end? I believe so. I believe that Justin Fields would have took us farther than Russell Wilson. This playoff game with the Ravens, you could have put 4 receivers, split them out wide. He could throw the ball 70, 80 yards, no problem. He could take off and run. It wouldn't have been so. What we saw against the Ravens was like a high school team playing an advanced high school team, and they just get shut down play after play after play. That's what happened. Bring in Sam Darnold. You need to let them compete for the job. You have 2 very opposite quarterbacks. Let's just say, hypothetically, Justin Fields wins a couple games. He starts to struggle. He needs to be benched. And you have Sam Darnold come in, takes over, and I think he'll be your quarterback for 8 to 10 years. Who knows? You might put Justin Fields in. He might make strides. He might explode onto the scene finally. It's a win-win situation to have 2 guys like that on the roster. Win-win. It's a backup plan in case Justin Fields doesn't work out. And it doesn't mean that you automatically give Justin Fields the job. You let them compete in camp for the job. Remember Kenny Pickett, the softest man in the NFL, who thought that Mike Tomlin should just hand him the job, and he was insulted that he had to compete for the job? So glad that guy's out of Pittsburgh. It makes me laugh when I hear Terry Bradshaw and a lot of people, the media, did the Steelers make a mistake letting Kenny Pickett go? No, they made the best decision of their lives letting that cream puff go. He's not a Steeler. He doesn't have a Steeler mentality. He's soft. You want 2 guys that are going to fight it out tooth and nail for the job. Got to have both guys. You have to sign Sam Darnold. That is priority number 1 in free agency. If you can't get, let's talk about who needs to go. Who needs to be cut from the Steelers? Russell Wilson, gone. Nice doing business with you. He's got to go. George Pickens, do not give George Pickens big money. He hasn't earned big money. His attitude hasn't earned big money. He is not a team first guy. He is a narcissist. It's all about George 24 hours a day. George Pickens is like that mean aunt that you have who she says things all the time to insult you. And then when she gets called out for it, oh, I didn't mean it like that. That's exactly what George Pickens does. He says all these stupid things, all these insulted things, the certain gestures he made with his hand. Oh, I have no clue. What are you talking about? Now he's trying to backtrack the comment that he made about not being optimistic because he knows the writing's on the wall and he knows he's about to lose millions of dollars. George Pickens needs to go. Cam Sutton definitely needs to go. The pass rusher from Green Bay, goodbye, forget his name. I mean, he didn't play much. Who cares? He needs to go. Now, these 2 guys are on the bubble. Dante Jackson. I thought he played horrible towards the end of the year. Couldn't cover anybody. Didn't want to tackle. I would test the free agency market. If I could bring in somebody better than him, I'd let him go. Or if I thought we could get somebody better, I'd let him go. Patrick Queen's another guy. Starting inside linebacker, only made 70 tackles this year. I mean, I don't know how much the Steelers would be on the hook for if they let him go, but he's not the answer either. So if you let all these guys go and you have tons of cap space, and you sign Sam Darnold, T. Higgins, you get some other corners and free agency to make up for the loss of Cam Sutton and Dante Jackson. Then we need to build the Pittsburgh Steelers through the draft. And there's 3 players that the Pittsburgh Steelers need to focus on. Let's just say, hypothetically, the Steelers can't sign T. Higgins. Let's say let's say he doesn't want to sign with a division rival. Steelers need to have Emeka Egbuka from Ohio State in their sights. They need to get him. You need to let George Pickens go. If you can't sign T. Higgins or somebody better than T. Higgins in free agency, we have to build our team through the draft. This Ohio State receiver is incredible. He'll fit right in. He'll be a great Steeler. The next guy the Steelers need to focus on in the draft, who could be available also, is Tyler Warren from Penn State. I call him Baby Gronk. That guy is incredible. He's a tremendous athlete. He has the ability to take over a game. He can destroy defenses over the middle of the field. He will be a superstar. Against USC, I talk about it all the time. He got a pitch. He pitched it back to somebody else. He ran down the field. They threw him the ball. He outjumped 3 defenders. He is amazing. He is a difference maker. He'll look great in black and gold. And I know a lot of guys are going to say, we have multiple pass rushers already. But the last player, these 3 players need to be on the Steelers' board as priorities. Tyler Warren is a necessity for the offense. Let's just say he gets drafted. Somebody else takes him. Let's say somebody else takes Egbuka. Excuse me if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Let's say those 2 guys are gone. No matter who is left on the board, let's just say hypothetically Abdul Carter is still on the board. I know we have tons of pass rushers, but you take the best player available, which will be Abdul Carter. These 3 guys need to be, the Steelers need to focus on these 3 players coming out of college. They need to be in their sights, in the scope. They need to focus on these 3 players. If you draft them, they automatically make your team better. They bring tremendous value to your team. They make your team better. And the most important thing, none of them have character issues. You know exactly what you're getting with all 3 players who are difference makers and potential superstars.